Welcome to the 8th season of Scene to Song, a musical theater podcast for people who love to discuss, critique, and celebrate musicals as a literary art form. I'm your host, Shoshana Greenberg, and each episode I'll bring on a guest to talk about a musical theater writer, or a topic or trend in musical theater. My guest today is BethAnn Freed Cohen. BethAnn is a home care nurse and educator. She sings with the New York City-based choruses Essential Voices USA and the Yiddish Philharmonic Chorus, which has been singing Yiddish choral repertoire since 1922. We're going to talk today about parody in musical theater. Hey, BethAnn. So great to have you back on the podcast.
It's nice to see you. I like doing this.
So we will get started as we do with our get to know our guest questions. So what was your first experience with a musical?
So I've been here before, so I've answered this question before, but I think I wanted to answer this again because it ties into some of what we're talking about. When I was 5, my parents took me to the local high school to a community theater production of The Mikado. And when I got to be older in high school, I was in it's the Valley Light Opera in Amherst, Massachusetts, or Western Massachusetts. And when I was older, I got to be part of the pit orchestra for a couple of productions. And my parents have been performing with them for the past 25 years, and they're about to have their 50th production this year. I believe they're doing HMS Pinafore. So when I saw The Mikado when I was 5, it absolutely changed my life. And getting to go to the back of the stage or not the back of the stage, just the place where the audience came out, which is just a hallway in the high school, and meet the people in costumes, and it was so cool.
What is the last great musical you saw?
So I've actually seen a lot of musicals this season, but I went and saw Operation Mincemeat with you, and I have gotten so much of that stuck in my head since then, and I feel like I don't know, I really liked that show. And it actually, again, has a lot in common with some Gilbert and Sullivan, as we'll see. I think there's this theme that's very, very present in a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan, and I guess just because it's a major part of British life, of people who get to high station because of how they were born and are, in fact, not very competent. And it's funny to see that the main joke of the first song of Operation Mincemeat is the same as the main joke of Modern Major General. So I think that's and has zero relevance for modern life. So
yeah, no, that was a fun one to see together, even though I didn't know what was going on, but
the accents were a lot.
I enjoyed it regardless. And then I got the cast recording and I listened to it and then heard.
After seeing the show, I watched the movie that was made based on the same story.
Yeah.
And the movie was so boring. And the story, it's like one of these stories where the story itself has too many weird things in it. And I think in both the movie and in the show, they were like this story is, this true thing that happened is so completely unbelievable, and they just tried to stuff as much as they could into a narrative. But of course, real life doesn't necessarily fit a narrative, and just because something happened doesn't necessarily mean it fits in the story you're telling. So I think it got a little, they maybe in some ways there were too many things, but it worked for me. So
yeah. What is a moment in a musical that you think gets to a complex emotional state you didn't think was possible to get to?
So I saw The Outsiders recently, and it was literally that I found myself in Midtown with a couple hours to kill in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. And I was like, well, if I find a theater and just run to it now and see if they have cheap seats, I could see a show this afternoon. So I did. And if I had turned right, I would have seen a picture of Dorian Gray, but instead I turned left and I saw The Outsiders. And I have some regrets about that, but that's what happened. I got standing room for The Outsiders. I had never seen the movie. I had never read the book. I knew nothing about, I didn't even know that it was written by a teenager, although in retrospect, that makes a lot of sense. Because it's a story that you can tell was written by a kid. It's like the whole thing is just 100% Deus Ex Machina. I guess that's me, my catty side coming out of being like, the story is weird. But I know it means a lot to a lot of people. I was sitting in standing room, and then, they wouldn't let me move down until intermission. And it was a Wednesday matinee, so the whole theater was full of kids, which is great because that's what the show is for. But I saw a few rows in front of me. There was like a woman sitting on her own and a blank seat, and then a bunch more kids. So I had scoped it during intermission. I went and I sat down and I kind of introduced myself to this woman who was sitting next to me because I was like, two women alone seeing a show, we should say hi. And it turned out she worked for the show. I don't know if she was a director or an assistant director. I didn't get her name. But she had her notebook and like she was doing some sort of, I don't know, she was doing some watch of the show for professional purposes. And in the second act of The Outsiders, there is a fight scene, which is done in the rain through a dance. And it was, I had never seen a dance. I mean, there have been a few really great fight scenes in musical. I mean, obviously West Side Story has a couple. And I think also in the recent Spielberg movie took that in some different directions. And there are a lot of really amazing ways to do a fight with dance. But they did something special, and I'm not even going to explain what it was because I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it. But they did something really, really special with this fight scene, and it was so intense and I just turned to this woman sitting next to me, and I was like, "That's gorgeous!" Like, as the whole room like burst into applause, I was just like, "This, that was just amazing." So, a fight is inherently emotional, and conveying that through dance, I thought was really, really beautiful.
Cool. Well, let's move on to our topic, which is musical parodies. So, I guess let's start with what is a parody? Like a definition of a parody.
So, as we did in our last episode where we were talking about bimbos, I have to look at the dictionary. So I used dictionary.com. Maybe I could have used a better source. But it says a parody is an imitation of the style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for comic effect. So in the case of parody songs, I kind of came up with three basic ways to do a parody. So the first most obvious, and I think most common, is imitating a musical style with different lyrics, or copying a melody full on, but then changing lyrics completely. So think in terms of copying the song, that would be like most of the Weird Al repertoire. And Tom Lehrer would be more copying a song style, but changing what it's about, not necessarily copying a particular song, although he did that too. I want to point out that we had the idea to do this episode before Tom Lehrer died. And then Tom Lehrer died, which, he was a very old man. So certainly sad, but also a really great opportunity to share his incredible contributions with the world in honor of him passing. So I will be talking about him quite a bit. But that would be the first type of parody, would be imitating a musical style or copying a melody but changing the lyrics. The second type, which is more rare, but also happens, is keeping the lyrics of a song but changing the style. So if anyone's heard that Weird Al Hamilton polka, right? He just takes all of Hamilton and does it in polka form. And also Postmodern Jukebox does a lot of that, which I'll get to in a second. And then the third kind, which I think is kind of special, is parody through performance, where you keep the melody and you keep the style, but you change something about the performance to just like change. I guess this is similar to keeping the lyrics but changing the style, but I think that there's a little bit different. So a big one is there's these annual fundraisers, Miscast, Broadway Backwards, there are a few of them. And the idea is that by changing who performs a song, by putting an unexpected person performing a song, you can get a different, usually funny, although not necessarily meaning from it, which often works and is often awesome. But thinking of, we were talking about Operation Mincemeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Operation Mincemeat is far from the first show to do this, but gender blindness in casting has always been a thing, really. I mean, it was a thing for Mozart, it was a thing for Shakespeare, and it's a thing for a lot of people. So just changing the gender of the person singing a song isn't necessarily super funny, although you can make it funny if you do it the right way. But there are so many ways that the artists who do this make a meal of it. And so one recent example that I thought was just brilliant is Cola Scola did a rendition of the Iowa song from The Music Man, which is, if someone was to make a list of their top 5 songs from The Music Man, I don't think anyone would put Iowa on their top 5 list songs from,
right?
Like, it's not, but it is a memorable, good song. I mean, all the songs from that show are so good. And to take what he did, or what they did, is they took this Iowa song about how people from Iowa are conservative assholes, essentially, but with hearts of gold. And they made it into this burlesque, like, strip show. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, bending a song, like taking something that's not funny, but like if you just sing it in a certain way, it's funny, or vice versa.
So the other important proviso when we're talking about parodies is that they should be funny. So we have to separate out, there are musicals that are funny but are not parodies, and there are musicals that copy styles but are not funny. I guess I mostly associate this word with Sondheim because he uses it all the time, but pastiche is like taking a song and copying it, but not necessarily making a joke of it. So, like, Let Me Entertain You from Gypsy, she takes the, like, little kid song and turns it into a stripper song. And so it's a parody in that sense, but it's not a funny, I mean, the show is funny, but that's not the funny part. And then there are, like, plenty of funny musicals that aren't necessarily parodies. So, like, I mean, you could argue. But, like, Little Shop of Horrors, I guess you could call it a parody of a horror movie, but it's really just a funny horror movie. Like, it's actually it's not a parody of horror movies. It's actually just a horror movie or a horror show that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, everything gets a little squishy, and you could argue so many ways about all of these things. There's also a problem of, in order to do a good parody, there are a lot of bad parodies. So one thing, I guess I said that I liked everything, but that's not true.
I don't think anybody likes everything.
No. I don't think that musicals have anything to be embarrassed about. And I think that there are a lot of shows, and you could call it a modern trend, but I don't think so, because I think it's been around for a really, really long time, of like musicals apologizing for being musicals or making fun of the fact that they are musicals. And that just makes me angry. So, Sondheim talked about this. There was an interview with him, and I like saw it. It was like in the middle of a 2-hour interview, and he was talking about this, and I was like, "Oh my god, exactly that!" And thankfully, the internet being what it is, I was able to find the quote. So what he said is, there are jukebox. So his idea is kind of buried in the middle of this quote, but we'll unpack it. They're jukebox musicals, so-called meta musicals, i.e., musicals that make reference to the fact that they're musicals, or what a friend of mine refers to as musicals that eat their young, and musicals that take musicals seriously. That doesn't mean solemn musicals, just that musicals that don't scavenge, like jukebox musicals, or hide behind anything, like meta musicals. So I guess my big example of the thing I don't like was the show Something Rotten did a Tony's performance, whatever year the Something Rotten did a Tony's performance, and I hated it so much. It was wonderful. It was wonderful performers. It was a great big show, and I guess the idea of the show is that Shakespeare is going to turn one of his shows into a musical in order to make more money, or something like that. But the whole song was just about like, isn't it funny that we're singing? And then referencing about 20 different well-known musicals in the space of 5 minutes, but without any like joke about the musicals other than just quoting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's funny that you're singing. Like, I'm here to see you singing.
Right.
So I had a very disappointing experience. And I think Something Rotten is beloved, and there are going to be some people who are like, no, that's my favorite. And another one that I know is beloved because I was in the theater and I saw how beloved it was the Beetlejuice musical, which was, I got to go see it, I think, for very little money or something. You know, it comes out and it's a movie I love. They kind of added an interesting plot element of kind of focusing on the fact that this girl's mother died. And this girl had a really great song about what it's like to be the daughter of a dead mother, which is, you know, implied in the movie, but they don't really talk about it, right? She has this stepmother. And I was so into it. And then Beetlejuice, the character, comes out and is just like, hey, we're in a musical. Isn't this silly? All of these musical things are going to happen. I know that's weird, but... And then he like sings a song about it. And I might be getting the order wrong. Maybe he came out first and then she sang her song. But like, it was just like, they had a really good musical there. And then they decided to like make the Beetlejuice character, who is arch and who is silly like that, but he didn't need to be making fun of the musical. He could be making other jokes. So I don't think that is good parody.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we've established what parodies are and what my personal belief makes a good parody or a bad parody, or I guess I've talked about what makes a bad parody. I haven't 100% talked about what makes a good parody. I want to talk about what kind of brought me to wanting to talk to you about this, which is I went and saw the Pirates, the Penzance musical.
Oh, yeah.
On Broadway, and I loved it so much that then I got my parents' tickets and sent them to it. Now it was kind of an update in some ways. I guess they did that that type of thing I talked about with like changing the style, because they tried to make it a little bit more jazzy, which to me somewhat worked and somewhat didn't. But it really didn't matter because that show is so good that it really doesn't matter what you do to it. It's always going to be good. And because Pirates of Penzance came out before there were musicals, Pirates of Penzance is a parody of operas. And it does a bunch of things that really make fun of opera in an incredibly incisive way. So one of the kind of fundamental things about making an opera is you need to make beautiful music. And in order to do that, you often need a chorus. I mean, there are arias, which are also beautiful, but choral music is like the best. But in a dramatic situation, sometimes you have characters who are keeping secrets from other characters. So if you have a bunch of people on stage and somebody is keeping a secret from somebody, but then you need to sing about it, well, then you're in a situation where the chorus has to sing about something that they're not supposed to know. And Pirates plays with that joke a few times. So just to the basic plot is that there are pirates who want to marry the daughters of the major general, and he doesn't want them to. And these pirates have a particular honor code, which is that they're all orphans and they'll never attack an orphan. So in order to save his daughters from being taken away, the major general pretends to be an orphan, and then they'll leave him alone. So the pirates come, they're gonna steal the daughters, and then he tells them all that he's an orphan, and they say, no, we can't steal them, and they get really upset. And then the major general goes into kind of an aside to the audience where he says, I'm telling a terrible story. I'm not actually an orphan. I just said that so that they'd leave me alone. And then the chorus of pirates joins in harmony about the fact that he's lying to them, which is just silly. and it's such a, and so that's kind of one of the first times that joke comes out. It comes out even better later on. I think definitely the best song. Well, I don't know. No, I guess it's not the most famous song from the show. It is the most famous song. The show has a lot of good songs. But later in the show, there's a song with cat-like tread. So basically, there's going to be a battle between the pirates and the local police force. Well, I need to back up a little bit. There's a song where the major general's daughter, Mabel, who's the female lead of the show, is encouraging the police force to protect them from these pirates. And she sings, go ye heroes, go to glory, though ye die in combat gory. Ye shall live in song and story, go to glory and the grave.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the police force the policemen aren't very happy about that. I like to point out that exact same joke was made 100 years later, more than 100 years later, in the South Park movie, in the song Canada. And yeah, just I remember, I'm not a South Park watcher, but I remember when the South Park movie was all the rage and everyone was playing that song and being like, isn't this hilarious about these women getting all excited about the men dying for them? And I was like, no, we've heard that one before. I mean, I'm not saying it's not still a good joke, but it was funny to hear the South Park movie just do the exact same thing. And I'm
right.
From what I know of the South Park guys, very likely they were aware of that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the police force is going to protect the daughters of the major general, but the pirates come, and so the police force hides. So on the stage, you have a bunch of policemen kind of hiding behind bushes, sort of on the back part of the stage. And then the pirates come out and they sing one of the most famous songs ever written, which you might know as Hail, hail, the gang's all here. Da, 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 da.
I forgot that came from that show.
It does, yeah. It's not the original lyrics. It's come friends who plow the seas, trust in navigation. I mean, the lyrics are actually a little confusing, but the song is called With Cat-Like Tread, about how quiet they're being, and the song itself is the loudest, most kickline inducing song that 19th century baritones were capable of.
With cat-like tread, upon our prey we steal, in silence dread, our cautious way we feel. No sound at all, we never speak a word, a fly's foot forward be distinctly heard. So stealthily the pirate creeps, while all the household soundly sleeps.
So the pirates come out, sing this super loud song about how they're being quiet. And then the major general is going to come out. And so the pirates say, the major general's coming, let's hide. And then the police, who are hiding, sing in harmony, yes, yes, the major general comes. And then the major general comes out and continues the same song saying, yes, yes, the major general comes. I hope I'm conveying this correctly. I'll just go watch it or listen to it. But the idea of juxtaposing the needs of the music with the needs of the dramatic story you're telling, and juxtaposing the type of music with the story you're telling, are all these fabulous ways that Gilbert and Sullivan were able to play with some of the lunacy that is opera, of being like, I mean, I guess I was just complaining about Something Rotten making fun of the fact that they're singing, and because they weren't doing anything with it, they were just saying, we're singing. And in this, they're actually making a joke of what singing is and making it just so enduringly funny with the way that the performance and the orchestration and the choral whatever, I just think it's pretty phenomenal, and it holds up even today, even with this jazzy version, even with all the things that they changed for the modern version, which honestly, they did some interesting things. They took some other Gilbert and Sullivan songs and stuck them in there, including my very favorite song that I did as my very first What Makes This So Good on your show.
Oh, yeah.
They put I forgot the name of the song. It's called "Oh Living I" is the refrain. Gilbert and Sullivan songs are named by their first line, which is often just like a little aside before they get to the real song. So often the names of these songs are very unmemorable, even for what I'm calling my favorite song. So it's a little weird that I'm like, it's my favorite song, and I don't remember what it's called, but that's reality.
So what I hear you saying is like, parody, like, it's not just enough to be like, oh, isn't it funny? Isn't this funny?
Yeah, you have to do something with it.
Right. Even with like in other forms, like, I don't know, I'm thinking of like what are some film parodies, like the Scary Movie movies. Yeah. Like, I haven't really seen them, but I assume they're just not like imitating the scary, like, scream and like laughing at it. Like, they're actually like building, like finding humor, like taking the form and like finding more humor in like those scenes. And
yeah, and interestingly, okay, so first of all, the big problem with doing this topic is A, there's way too much to talk about, and B, I haven't seen everything. I know a lot about, right. I've seen some things way more times than I care to admit, but I haven't seen everything.
Right.
And so if you're at home being like, why didn't she mention Bah? Well, we should do another episode. I did have more to say about pirates, so let me go.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Major General song, which is the other most famous song from the show.
Yeah.
And it is a very, very famous song, and it itself has been parodied many times in many ways. But David Hyde Pierce did something in this show which I thought was phenomenal. I thought his performance as the Major General was just amazing. And here's the thing about the Major General song. We all know it as that fast patter song, right? If you know nothing else about Gilbert and Sullivan, you know that they wrote these fast songs. And a lot of people grasp onto that. But what David Hyde Pierce did in his performance, which I think is so crucial, is he recognized that the thing that makes the Major General song funny isn't that it's fast, it's that it's a funny song with many jokes in it. So his version of the song was certainly not the fastest I've heard, but he made absolutely sure that every single person in the audience, including me, who was in the last row, understood every single word, which is very impressive because there's a lot of words in that song. And he really told the joke, which again is the same joke from Operation Mincemeat. It's, hey, I went to the best private schools and I know nothing about the Navy, but I'm a Major General because I can know everything animal, vegetable, and mineral. So he calls himself the model of a modern Major General because he knows the quadratic equation, among other things.
I am the very model of a modern Major General. I've information, vegetable, animal, and mineral. I know the kings of England and I quote the facts historical from Marathon to Waterloo in order categorical. I am very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both as simple and quadratical. About binomial theorem, I'm teeming with a lot of news. Lot of news, got it. With the many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. The many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. The many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. The many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. I'm very good at integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings and animalculous. In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern Major General. In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, he is the very model of a modern Major General.
And of course, back to Tom Lehrer, there have been plenty of people who have done parodies of the Major General song, most famously Tom Lehrer with his Element song, which is really just focusing on the fact that it's so fast because it's a lot of words to get out. And that is great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun.
There's holmium and helium and hafnium and erbium and phosphorus and francium and fluorine and terbium and manganese and mercurium, molybdenum, magnesium, dysprosium and scandium and cerium and cesium and lead, praseodymium and platinum, plutonium, palladium, promethium, potassium, polonium and tantalum, technetium, titanium, tellurium and cadmium and calcium and chromium and curium. There's sulfur, californium, and fermium, berkelium, and also mendelevium, einsteinium, nobelium, and argon, krypton, neon, radon, xenon, zinc, and rhodium, and chlorine, carbon, cobalt, copper, tungsten, tin, and sodium. These are the only ones of which the news has come to Harvard. And there may be many others, but they haven't been discovered.
We have spent a long time talking about Pirates of Penzance, but I think it was worthwhile. I also want to point out, in terms of parodies of Gilbert and Sullivan, Sondheim did a little one in Pacific Overtures, and it's the only patter song that I can actually do. So I'm gonna hello, I come with letters from Her Majesty Victoria, who, hearing how you're trading now, says hallelujah, Gloria, and asked me to never mind. It's hard.
And that's
just I can't do it. It's so hard.
And that song is Please Hello.
That's a section of Please Hello where in Sondheim's word pastiche, he does there are a bunch of European invaders / trade partner type people coming to Japan to demand trading relations with Japan, and for each of them he gives like a pastiche of their national kind of most well-known 19th century national music. So for Britain, it's Gilbert and Sullivan.
Right.
The whole reason I wanted to do this episode with you is I wanted to force you to watch the Documentary Now episode, original Broadway cast. So did you do it?
Yeah, of course.
So just to give the background, Documentary Now is a TV show on Netflix where every episode is a parody of a different documentary. It is absolutely fabulous, and a lot of these parodies have actually gotten me to watch the original documentaries, some of which are fabulous. But the documentary parodies, the show is mostly written by Seth Meyers and with Fred Armisen and John Mulaney and a bunch of like just very funny people. And the show is made with such love. And I should point out, I think that love is an incredibly important part of parody. I think any parody where the person who's writing it doesn't have love for the thing that they're parodying will fail. And I think that having an affection for Sondheim in the case of this particular episode is absolutely crucial, because the understanding of who these people are is just absolutely central to why it works. So the episode is from, I think, season 2 or 3 of the series Documentary Now, and it's parodying the film that was made of the recording of the cast album for Company.
Yes,
so,
which it's funny to me that they did this one, because I feel like it's such a niche documentary. Like nobody really knows about it except for theater people.
If you watch the show Documentary Now, every episode is niche. Like, so what they do is they take the basic premise and they have great guest performers in this. They have John Mulaney playing a version of Stephen Sondheim, and Taron Gillam playing the director. I don't remember who the director, or he's not doing Hal Prince. He's doing, I don't feel like he's being Hal Prince. But then they have Paula Pell and Richard Kind and Renee Elise Goldsberry as some of the performers doing these songs. So they did a couple things just brilliantly. First of all, the parody songs that were written for this episode are just perfection.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that like, so they're parodying like Sondheim songs, and like some of them, like you can really hear like the specific song they're parodying. I mean, they're all kind of parodying a specific song, but some of them are like more obvious than others, I thought. But like how like the songs are actually like not good. like they're parodying in a way that it's like Company is good. But
Yeah.
like this show is not good, and it's actually closing. The rhyme, it's like over rhymey, and it's like the songs are really bad.
I don't know 100% if that was on purpose. The songs were written by John Mulaney and Seth Meyers, who neither of them write songs.
That's true.
The music was written by actual composers, but they wrote
Eli Bolin, yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, they were written to be, so let's just take a couple. I mean, I mean, there are several songs. The one that I like the most is Renee Elise Goldsberry's song. She's applying to live in the co-op, and she talks about co-op living in the 70s, and she talks about the brown and the beige. So the song is about how she could live in a brown and beige apartment in 1970s New York.
I can picture that studio fitted out with my style, a brown and beige kind of mood, you know, and metro hex green tile, a framed Navratilova hanging just above the sofa, and the brown and the beige and the brown and the beige and the brown. There's a nude by Abaddon just above the toilet, a naked guy with pubic hair, and he's sort of, I won't spoil it. The right erotic art says I'm sexual but smart, and the brown and the beige and the brown and the beige and the brown. I'm gonna make a life up there.
I found that very charming, but I don't think that that's the most memorable song from the show. I think the most famous bit of the original documentary is Elaine Stritch laying down Ladies Who Lunch. And in this parody, her kind of part is played by Paula Pell. And the kind of joke of it is that she's late for an eye appointment where she's supposed to have some like eye surgery. I don't know what it is. She says she's going to have her eyes scraped, whatever that means.
Yeah, and she's already taken the medicine.
She's already taken the medicine. And, you know, famously, Elaine Stritch was not able to deliver a good performance at this recording session. And then she came back the next day or something and did it beautifully. But they were being kind of abusive to her during it, and they kind of, it's not.
Well, I think it was late.
Yeah,
like,
it was really late.
Day, which they do parody. They do parody that in which this is just like what I liked in this documentary. Now it's just like how it's an example of like you don't just a parody is not just like doing the thing and making fun of the thing. It's like taking it like a step forward with like more with it, where they like the idea is like. In the actual documentary, it was late and she like couldn't do it. She was like trying to do it. And in this, it's like, it's late, but she's like, I told you guys I had to go early. I told you that, you know, I had this eye doctor appointment. I told you this.
She's also like changing to the lyrics to the song to be like, I gotta go. Well, the song she sings is called I Gotta Go, which is a little gross. And yeah, it ain't no Ladies Who Lunch in terms of the quality of the song, but it does get the point across.
Kidding.
I gotta go. Take 15. I gotta go. Take 20.
I've gotta go. Ah! I gotta hail a pumpkin coach. Sake.
Take 22.
I wanna go. I want to go to the eye doctor now, as previously stated, you pompous beta males.
I gotta go. Take 27.
You know what? I'm just going to go. I hope you all have terrible lives. Thank you. Wonderful job, orchestra.
I worry we pushed her too far.
Actors have a point where overnoting can almost hurt the performance.
Listen, she'll be back and she'll be great. If there's two things I know, it's women and exactly what's going to happen in the future.
I think Richard Kind has an amazing talk about patter songs. Richard Kind does really an incredible performance about how hard breath control is during some songs. And he does a fabulous job. But I think the best one is the kind of parody of Another 100 People, which are we doing spoilers? Because the spoiler on that the reveal is pretty great. He's singing really fast, and he's singing a love song, or he's singing about how he wants to like get with this woman, and he's doing his patter kind of Another 100 People sort of a ripoff. And then it turns out that the reason he's doing the patter like that is because he did a little cocaine tonight.
Oh, right.
And so, which is just like a well done joke.
No, you're talking about the one that's a parody of Not Getting Married Today, right?
You are correct. I apologize.
There is another 100 People song, but yeah, this is the parody of Not Getting Married Today, which is the really fast patter song.
Yes. Yeah, the reason I'm singing this fast is because I'm doing cocaine.
Right.
It's just funny.
Yeah.
And then for me, really the best part of the whole episode is John Mulaney does this impression of Stephen Sondheim teaching some of his actresses how to do a particular rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes them through how to say the word ruined.
Right.
He wants it pronounced ruined to fit into the lyric. I swear he had this exact conversation with someone somewhere in there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a parody of when I think this is in the documentary. He's teaching, he's showing someone how to say Bobby Booby. And that's why this is so niche. It's like, I think this is a parody of that moment where he's like, Booby, like, no, Booby, you know?
Specificity, I think, is important, and it's important in any art, but in parody, like, it's not funny that they're singing. It's funny. There's so many more interesting things to make fun of. There's so many more interesting things to parody than just the fact that they're singing. And I thought that episode was just phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed how they did the song parodies. Cause yeah, like, as you said, like, it's not just, it was interesting that they were like bad and they were making fun of like just how rhymey Sondheim is by like having it just like the songs are basically like they rhyme in no logical way. Like there's no logic to the songs. They just like go on and they like keep rhyming. But then there's like all these other things like, oh, we're doing the whole cocaine bit, you know, is funny. It like takes it to another level.
If I'm being honest, it was all very harrowing when the invite came for an evening of caroling. I don't like singing, I'm not much for conversation, and the combo of the two gave me such hesitation. I took a little something just to dull all the edges, either that or I was certain to be jumping off the ledges. I'm really quite sorry, but I'm going to admit it. I'm really so sorry. If I could, I would quit it, but the fact of the matter is I did a little cocaine tonight.
I do want to point out that they actually shoehorn in also, like you said, they're being canceled. I feel like they kind of shoehorned in a little bit of the story of Merrily We Roll Along. So
yeah, it reminded me of that too.
They were able to kind of bring in some other stuff so that it wasn't just a straight parody of the one show. It's like a little bit broader. Just wanted to acknowledge some of the things that I didn't include that people are going to be like, what about? Schmigadoon. I've heard great things. I've seen some of the clips and stuff. I've enjoyed them. I don't have Apple TV, so I haven't seen the show. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I have seen the show. I love the show. A lot of the songs in that do follow this model of being parodies of musical theater songs and pop songs, and is wonderful. Didn't talk about it today. Forbidden Broadway, never seen it. I will also point out that there was a musical tomfoolery with the song. I think it was just a review. There wasn't really a plot or anything, but Tom Lehrer did have a musical on Broadway, and we find out that Tom Lehrer went to summer camp with Stephen Sondheim when they were kids, which is insane. Yeah. And my little line that I came up with is, I think with any comedy, you should punch up, you should never punch yourself. But I might be wrong about that. Oh, and I just wanted to point out two others that I really love. Tick Tick Boom,
Mm-hmm.
the Sunday song. And I think what's interesting about that is watching the original Jonathan Larson just on stage singing that song. There's the whole joke of him, you know, trying to create order in his life and take this thing that he loves and try to superimpose it on his own life, which is just this stupid daily grind of working at a diner. And then Miranda turning it into a film and taking that opportunity to do this incredible thing of like getting, I'm pretty much guessing that some email went out to every single Broadway star and was like, if you could be here on such and such a day, we're gonna put you in. Although I'm guessing they weren't all in the same room at the same time. Like, it looks like they were probably filmed separately, but like, it's amazing. And again, I think such a Jonathan Larson and Miranda and Andrew Garfield and all the people involved with that had such love for this idea of the song Sunday, and then taking it and making it into this other thing of life in 1990 in New York as a struggling artist, which is, you know, very comparable to George Seurat in 1890 or whatever, in Paris, like that. They're all just trying to take this kind of chaos and mundanity of their life and turn it into something beautiful. And so I think the way that Larson did it originally was definitely a parody. I think that the way that Miranda did it in the film would be more along the lines of pastiche. It's less funny and it's more like kind of awe, I would say.
Yeah.
And then I'll just end with something really, really short, which is bring it back to the Buffy musical, another episode I did. And short and sweet, they got the mustard out, which is literally just that one line. A bunch of people on the street with their dry cleaning saying they got their mustard out is just a beautiful little encapsulation of, like, if you're going to make fun of the fact that people are singing, that's, I mean, the joke of that joke is, isn't it funny that people are singing? Because there's, you know, a spell on the town, everybody, or there's a demon spell on the town, everybody's singing. And they just take this minute to say, yeah, it's funny that everybody's singing, but they don't go further than that. They just have that 5-second joke of people dancing about how wonderful it is that the mustard came out of the shirt, and it's great.
Well, let's move on then to the Why Is This So Good section, which is still basically on topic, I think. But this is the Sondheim and Mary Rodgers song, The Boy from ... So why did you pick this song for Why Is This So Good?
So I just want to point out, I did consider doing a Tom Lehrer song. We were thinking about doing Poisoning Pigeons or National Brotherhood Week, which are both amazing. But I think The Boy From really fits our theme in terms of being a parody and is so good. And it's a joke that I don't think I understood the first 3 times I heard it. It took me 3 times listening to the song to really get it. And so whenever I play it for somebody, they're like, they don't get it. I do remember the first time I heard it, which was, I think it was Joanna Gleason sang it at Wall to Wall Sondheim at City Center. Sorry, not City Center. Symphony Space.
Yeah.
Which I was at all 12 hours of in my seat that I found in the back of the balcony. So that was the first time I heard it. And then since then I've heard a few different versions. Linda Lavin did it originally and then reprised it for the Sondheim birthday kind of COVID special. That was so wonderful. So let's get into it. So first of all, if you can't tell from the title, it is a parody of The Girl from Ipanema, which is, you know, I guess bossa nova classic. And the original joke, if you're just listening to the song for the first time, is just that she's in love with a guy who's from a place whose name is so long that it takes her like half the song to say it. And, you know, you're listening to it and you're like, is this racist? I'm not sure if this is racist. It's a little, right? And if that was the joke, I think it would be a little bit problematic. But that is not the joke.
Right.
The beautiful thing about this song is it's got layers. So she's singing about this boy who she's fallen in love with, who's from a Spanish town. I have no idea where it is. With a very, very, very long name of the town. But then she kind of goes on about their relationship. And as she talks about it, you kind of pick up on something being a little bit wrong here. And what it turns out to be is that maybe just possibly this guy is gay. And maybe just possibly he's trying to fend off her advances in the kindest way he knows how, which is to give her a place that he's from, which she'll never be able to figure out, because there's no way a human being could remember that place name. Little does he know how devoted she is, and that she did in fact figure it out. So his little ploy to say, oh, I'm from such and such a place. Here, let's see if I can do it. Tacaramba la tumba del fuego, Santa Malipa, Zacatecas, La Junta del Sole Cruz. He has tried to give her this place name in the hopes that it will put her off of him, but she is persistent. And the song talks about how he's been avoiding her, how he's hanging out with his friend, how he wears vermilion trousers. And that clearly he is doing his best to let her down gently, and she is not taking the hint. And then to top it all off, the song ends with he's leaving, and he's going to go to Wales, to a town which famously has the longest name of any town in the world, as far as I know. And I'm not even going to try to say the name of that town. But again, the girl in the song has learned to pronounce it as well as she can, and is very disappointed that he's going to go there and start his boutique. So I just think I love layered jokes. I think back to Pirates, where there was like joke upon joke upon joke. This has, you know, you think that the joke is this one thing, and then it turns out it's something completely different, and I think it's just brilliant.
Tall and slender like an Apollo, he goes walking by, and I have to follow him. The boy from Tacarembo, La Tumba del Fuego, Santa Malipa, Zacatecas, La Junta del Sole Cruz. When we meet, I feel I'm on fire and I'm breathless every time I inquire. How are things in Tacarembo, La Tumba del Fuego, Santa Malipa, Zacatecas, La Junta del Sole Cruz.
This is from a like revue show called The Mad Show, which was like a Mad Magazine review, like from the Mad Magazine, I guess.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's
yeah.
Awesome.
And a few writers wrote for it, and wrote, I think they wrote multiple songs, but this, I feel like this is the most famous one to to come out of it. But yeah, I think it's also funny that it's just also so like we can look back at it now, like as also like so very 60s in that, like, not, I mean,
well, I mean, that song was so popular.
Right.
Girl from Ipanema was like so popular at the time. This is like making fun of, I don't know what song, a Taylor Swift song. It wasn't niche in any way.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, because like, I feel like now, like, if somebody was into you and you were gay, you would just be like, I'm sorry, I'm gay. But
yeah, no, I mean, That's the other thing, is the song is very progressive for its time in terms of like, I'm sure that when the song came out, like I was saying, I didn't get the joke the first 2 or 3 times I heard it, because it is a little, unless you're really listening to it, it's a little obscure.
Yeah.
And it takes a minute to figure out what's going on, because it's not, I'm making it explicit that he's trying to let her down softly. The song does not do that. The song just, it's from her perspective, and she's the one who's not taking the hint. So the whole thing is her failing to understand what he's doing. And so if you're just listening to this song from his perspective, or from her perspective, and you don't see what's happening, even with full knowledge of modern life and the fact that, some men are gay, it's not immediately obvious what the joke is about. I would assume at the time, like,
I mean, people probably said it too, but like, it's
on the other hand, I'm sure there were a lot of gay men who were listening to it, be like, yeah, I've been there.
Well, I'm thinking also now, as we describe it, is like, this is basically what happens in the movie Clueless with Claire and Christian.
Yeah, I mean, he's dropping so many hints, and she's just like very persistent.
Yeah, she like doesn't get it, and then but someone just spells it out for her. But I don't think it's a little different in that I don't think in that movie Christian, the gay guy, is aware of her being into him. He's like kind of clueless about that too.
Yeah, I mean at some point he figures it out when she changes the lighting and they're in bed.
Yeah, and then he's just like, but then he's just like, I'm gonna go. But like, he's not just like, hey, actually, like, you may have gotten the wrong idea, I'm gay. He's just like, I'm gonna leave.
Well, I mean, and I think a lot of, as we've discussed before on this podcast, a lot of gay life for so long in this country and around the world has been, fear of getting found out and what can happen to you. And even when you're with a cool person like Cher, you don't know. So I empathize with Christian there. Yeah. And I certainly empathize with this guy in this song who's this boy, boy from. I certainly empathize with his attempts to just like sweetly get out of this without actually causing any. I mean, he's really literally just trying to escape.
I got the blues. Why? His trousers vermilion. His trousers are vermilion. Why? Does he claim he's Castilian? He says he's Castilian. Why? Do his friends call him Lillian? And I hear at the end of the week he's leaving to start a boutique. Though I smile, I'm only pretending, 'cause I know today's the last I'll be spending with the boy from Tacarembo, La Tumba del Fuego, Santa Malipa, Zacatecas, La Junta del Soli Cruz. Tomorrow he sails. He's moving to Wales to live in Llanfairblwch, Gwyn Gear, Go Gerich, Gwyn Drwb Llan, Tasilio, Go.
All right, let's move on to our final section, something wonderful, just something in musical theater that we are excited about or want to give a shout out to.
So this theater season is exciting enough that I was able to convince my husband that we're going to go to 2 shows together in 1 week. A little bit not on purpose because of circumstances, but we're going to see Chess, and we're also going to see Ragtime. And ABBA is something we all agree on as being good music. Write a lot. And really, your episode with Tara on chess really got me pumped for this. So, yeah. I'm actually going to see it with her. So that's
Oh, nice. Yeah, I definitely am excited for chess from after doing that that episode. I want to shout out, I just found out that one of my favorite performers, Salty Brine, is doing one of his shows at Joe's Pub this fall. I mean, he's done a lot there, but this is one I saw earlier this year at the smaller venue Pangea. And it'll be at Joe's Pub late October. It's called Good News or Harry the Dog. And all of his cabarets take like a rock album, and he sings through the rock album and along with like a story around it. They're always really cool and interesting. This one is the Modest Mouse album, 2004 album, Good News for People Who Love Bad News. And I didn't know the album beforehand, but I listened to it to prepare when I saw it previously, and it was a good listen. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited for Spelling Bee to come back, which we saw together 20 years ago. And you were I know, you were one of the spellers, and I remember like when you got brought up that we were a little afraid.
I'm a terrible speller. I just this week I like realized I'd been spelling the word Presbyterian wrong my entire life. Like,
that seems like a hard one. I don't know if I spell it right either. Didn't you get the word in Spelling Bee? Didn't you get the word like elephant or something? I think you did it.
It was elephant.
I think you got it though.
And I got it right because I was not sure if there were one or two L's. And to this day, I'm not sure if there's one. I'm pretty sure there's only one L, but if I'm wrong, please don't tell me.
I think I remember them changing elephant to cow.
Some people got it wrong and it like ruined the flow.
No, well, I think also like I remember talking to book writer Rachel Scheinkin about it, and she said that just harder consonants are funnier than soft.
Like some movie where like an old comedian was like, it has to start with K. K is the funniest letter.
Yeah, like a "k." Yeah, that's probably where it comes from. Like a "k," just for some reason a "k" sound.
Also, asking somebody to spell cow is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that show is so good.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that to come back, and be in the room with that again. But yeah.
Oh, and then sorry, my favorite playwright, Sarah Rule, is going to be working with Sarah Bareilles. I am so excited.
That's another good
That's
one.
in the far future, I suppose, but like, wow.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of Scene to Song. You can write to scenetosong@gmail.com with a comment or question about an episode or about musical theater, or if you'd like to be a podcast guest. Love this podcast? Help it find more listeners by rating it on your podcast app and leaving a review. Follow on Instagram @Scene to Song and on Facebook @Scene to Song with Shoshana Greenberg podcast. Sign up for the monthly e-newsletter at scenetosong.substack.com and contribute to the Patreon at patreon.com/scenetosong, where you'll get bonus material from many of the episodes. The theme music you are hearing is by Julia Meinwald, and check back here next month for our next episode.